Good afternoon, and welcome to the University of Nebraska System's 6th annual I Love NU Day celebration. My name is Emily Sadi. Oh yeah, please cheer. My name is Emily Sadi, and I currently serve as Student Body President and Student Regent for the University of Nebraska at Kearney.
And my name is Jake. And I'm Jake Drake, and I'm the Student Body President and Student Regent at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
Before we get started, we want to take a moment to recognize you, the supporters of the University of Nebraska System. This day truly would not be possible without each and every one of you. We would like to recognize each of you by your campus, so please rise and feel free to cheer when recognized. First up, UNK Lopers.
UNL Huskers.
UNMC.
And finally, our UNO Mavericks.
Today we have a fantastic slate of speakers for all of you. We will first hear from University of Nebraska System President Ted Carter, then Senator Mike Jacobson from North Platte, and Senator Anna Wishart from Lincoln.
First up, we have President Carter. President Carter is in his 3rd year leading the NU system. He came to us from the U.S. Naval Academy, bringing a unique perspective to Nebraska. President Carter has been a fierce advocate for low tuition on each of our campuses, prioritizing access and affordability for all students. President Ted Carter is truly a student-focused leader, from the Nebraska Promise Program to tuition freezes. Please join us in welcoming President Ted Carter.
Well, happy I Love NU Day. Is this not exciting to be in our state's capital with all of our students, some of our faculty, some of the staff? At the end of the day, this is the support system for our entire university system. I could not be more excited and happy to be with you here on I Love NU Day. So let's get excited about I Love NU Day. Let's first of all get excited about our student body regents up here. You just heard from 2 of them, and we're going to hear from some more to finish up here. But I want to make a couple comments here before I introduce our 2 senators who are going to add to the commentary today. We are in a truly unique time in higher ed. You can see the changes that are on the horizon. And this is my 4th year as your University of Nebraska System President. And when I came into this job pre-COVID, so that was the atmosphere and the conditions which I came in, I really came into this idea that our university was here to serve our students. And that's what I Love NU Day is all about. This is a chance for our students from all of our campuses. By the way, Kearney, good job. I think you won the population contest today. But it's a chance for you to get out and tell your stories. We got 49 elected state senators here from all over the state. And there is almost nowhere in the state that we don't have representation of students at 4 main campuses. But this is a chance for you to tell your story. Each and every one of you has a unique story. You have different reasons for why you came to your unique campuses. So this is a chance for you to talk about yourself, brag about yourself, brag about your campus. Tell people why you love being on your campus. Because this is a truly special place. And as all of you know, there isn't a single entity in the state of Nebraska that does what we do. When I was listed as a priority candidate, I had a chance to travel, really all over the state. From Omaha to here in Lincoln, spent a little bit of time in Kearney, North Platte, all the way out to Scotts Bluff. And as my wife and I were traveling through all those towns and cities, I was often asked questions for things that impacted the state, but for which I had no idea that the University of Nebraska was involved. And my wife wanted to ask me as we were coming out, I had just taken a question about, whether or not we were going to be able to get Wi-Fi and, internet to some of the more rural parts of the state. And my wife said, "Are you in charge of that?" And Governor, then Regent Pillen, who was with us, he said, "You're in charge of everything in the state of Nebraska." And I come to know that our universities and our system touch every single aspect of life, education, research, agriculture. You think about our extension programs. There isn't anything that happens in the state of Nebraska that we are not somehow deeply involved in or touching, and certainly influencing. And at the end of the day, it's about our students. It's about this talent for the future that are going to take that baton, take that mantle of leadership in all different types of disciplines, from teaching to medicine to engineering to IT to national defense. You're the future. And that's why I love NU Day, because this is a chance for us to showcase you. And you have to remember, we are a university system that is very dependent on the support that we get from our legislature. We are very, very fortunate. 49 senators, the governor, everybody understands how important the single university system is for our state. We're the biggest return on investment. We are the synchronizer for the state, a state that doesn't have any real major professional sports programs. So we think about the Lopers, the Mavericks, the Huskers. All of those things bring the entire state together, just for that part of our sports programs. But it is so much more. It's all those other things I talked about that put you, those students who will graduate from our programs, into the workforce, become the great citizens of the state of Nebraska, and be the future leaders of our state of Nebraska. And as you engage with our state senators today, say thank you. Say thank you to each and every one of them, because they're supporting our budget. We just had a major announcement the day before yesterday where we're going to see a compromise between the governor's 2% input on our budget and our request for a 3% budget increase. And the Appropriations Committee voted it out 5-4 that we would see a 2.5% rate increase. It's a huge victory for the university. And compromise is also a life lesson on sometimes how to get things done. So I'm proud to say our relationship with the Appropriations Committee as well as the governor are the hallmarks of how to continue to get things done, as this state of Nebraska has done for its entire life. So tell every senator your story. Tell them why you love University of Nebraska, why you love your campus, and what you hope to be doing when you finish your school, whether you go on to further education, stay in the state here, pursue another degree, or pursue work. Because each and every one of you have an amazing story to tell. And at the end of the day, your voice matters. I've always said that when I came here that I thought what this university needed to do, maybe better than it had ever done before, and this is the work we have out in front of us, is to serve our students. The cost of everything is going up. Inflation, supply chain, food, all the basic necessities, and we have somehow managed not to put that cost on the back of our students. And we're going to continue to focus on that. We froze tuition for a couple of years. We created Nebraska Promise. We'll continue to do everything we can to keep our cost of full attendance, not just tuition, to the lowest levels that we can, and still keep operating. So we've got some challenging times ahead, but again, I am committed to that because of the whole reason I came here was to see student success. Now, I have a chance to introduce a couple of senators who also feel the same way, not in just supporting the University of Nebraska system, but supporting each and every one of you, our students. So first, I'm going to introduce Senator Mike Jacobson of North Platte, who represents District 42. Senator was elected to the legislature last year. He's a proud graduate of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Senator Jacobson sits on a number of committees: Banking, Commerce, and Insurance Committee, the Natural Resources Committee, the Committee on Committees, yes, they have one of those, and the Legislative Performance Audit Committee. So, in short, Senator Jacobson is a very, very busy man. So we appreciate Senator Jacobson's leadership and support of higher education. Senator Jacobson.
Thank you, President Carter. It's an honor to be here. Also, it's always great to see Chancellor Gold, someone I have immense respect for. These two gentlemen have done an amazing job at this university. I can tell you I've been around long enough to see a number of presidents come and go here. Ted Carter is truly an amazing leader. And I would also have to tell you that I look at the accomplishments of Chancellor Gold and the work that he's done and the dedication that he's given to this entire university, doing double duty at the Med Center and UNO for a period of time, and amazing guy and accomplishing truly amazing things. So it's really an honor to be here. Well, I want you to know that I have always kind of believed in the idea that you need to dream big. And I can tell you that 50 years ago, I was finishing my freshman class, or my freshman year here at UNL. And I remember I grew up on a rented farm. I'm a first generation college graduate. I grew up on a rented farm in Clay County, Nebraska, 7 brothers and sisters. We were dirt poor, and there was really no reason I really should have ever had any success at all. But I can remember talking to my dad, and I loved to farm, and I always wanted to farm since I was a little kid, and I told my dad that I didn't want to go to college, I wanted to be a farmer. And he told me, Mike, he said, you know, you need to go to the university, you need to have something to fall back on. Well, that was some great advice, because I can tell you that I came to UNL, I majored in ag economics, ag education. I was an ag teacher for about 4 years after I got out of college. As far as I know, none of my former students, are any kind of long-term mental health care, so I think I did okay there. But I can tell you that a lot of my bank staff ask me whether I know that for certain, so just so you know. But I can tell you that the amazing things that you learn in your time at the university is truly incredible. And you learn a lot about life, you learn about who you are and what your potentials are. And it's truly been amazing as I've watched my life unfold along the way and where I would be without the university background and the mentorship and the education that I got here. And I don't even want to begin to tell you what the tuition rate was back then. It would be mind-blowing, okay? Let's just say it was a lot lower than it is today. But with that said, I can tell you that after spending some time as an ag teacher, and farming on the side, I ended up starting in banking. And so I've been in banking for 43 years now, and I spent time in Hastings, and then I moved to Lincoln, spent some time here at the National Bank of Commerce for 10 years, went out to run an affiliate of the First Commerce Bancshares operation in North Platte, and then left 25 years ago and chartered Nebraska Land Bank. And so I'm one of the 2 principal shareholders of Nebraska Land Bank, which also has a branch in Kearney. And I can tell you, the reason we made the branch into Kearney was because we had a university college there. And we knew that UNK was there, and if we wanted to recruit talent, that's where we're going to get it from. And so if we could get people to come to work for us there, and we knew that if you have campuses across the state and people show up and go to school there, they get comfortable with that community and they're willing to stay there. And so as I look at what's happened over the years in my world, I continue to look back, and you don't think about it at the time that you're learning something here, but you do. And you don't realize what you've learned until you get out and start using it in business. And I can tell you that it's truly been incredible to some things have fallen into place. I don't discount that luck certainly plays a role, but I was certainly in the right place at the right time quite a few times. And I relied upon the education that I got at the university to really lead me forward and follow the lead and follow my conscience. And it took a few chances along the way, but it's been a remarkable ride. And a year ago, last February, I got the call from the governor and asked whether I would consider an appointment to fill the vacancy in District 42. I'd given some little bit of thought to the legislature and then dismissed it. And he gave me 48 hours to make a decision whether I would accept the appointment or not. So I decided to accept the appointment and got in here. And of course, the senator I was replacing was term limited, so I immediately got into a campaign. And I think my wife and I talked about that a little bit and said, you know, if we knew later, if we knew then what we knew later, we probably wouldn't have taken the appointment because it was a lot of work to get elected. But I can tell you, I'm glad I'm here. And I will tell you that I am a staunch advocate for the university. I've lived what the university does. I don't know where I would be today without my university education. It was affordable, it was quality, there were great professors to work with, it's a great learning environment. We have really good facilities here, and I am absolutely 100% all in on the university system. And I also, and anytime I get up and speak, I have to always, anytime Chancellor Gold's anywhere around, I want you to know that when I got here to the legislature, Chancellor Gold and his people reached out to make sure that I knew what was happening at the Med Center. And I look at the Med Center and did the tour there and truly astounded by what they're doing there, the medicine and the teaching tools that they have there, and all the things that they've accomplished. That's a world-renowned facility there. I mean, what we have in Nebraska is amazing. And I can also tell you, being in North Platte and in Kearney, I look at the healthcare providers and how would we provide healthcare in this state if we didn't have the Med Center and the university system providing for the nurses and the doctors and the training, not only on the front end, but on the in-service side. So it's truly been amazing to me to see what's going on. It's a privilege to be here to speak to you today. Thank you all for being here. Really thank you, Chancellor Gold and President Carter, for what you do. The student regents, thank you for stepping up and doing what you're doing. I'm all in, 2.5%. I'm in for 2.5%. I would be in for 3%. So just so you know, you didn't ask for it.
All right, well, I guess we go back and revisit that 3%. Next, I'd like to introduce Senator Anna Wishart of Lincoln, representing District 27, elected to the legislature in 2016 and re-elected in 2020. Senator Wishart is Vice Chairwoman of the Appropriations Committee, and she also sits on the State Tribal Relations Committee. Senator Wishart has been a strong champion of the value of higher education at the University of Nebraska during her time in the legislature. We are very grateful for her leadership and support. Senator Wishart.
Well, it's good to be here sharing the room with all of you, and I echo the sentiments of my colleague, Senator Jacobson, in support of the university and support of the talented leadership at the university. I don't have the same path as Senator Jacobson. I didn't end up going to the University of Nebraska, but I did grow up around the university. My father is a 45-plus year professor at the University of Nebraska. It's actually what anchored him in coming here and meeting my mom and starting that lifelong career. And so I've grown up around this institution. And I've grown up appreciating, having two parents who are professors, the importance not only of being engaged in a 4-year career development pathway, but also that magic that happens when young individuals who are kind of newly independent get to spend 4 years together, not only focused on career, but also focused on items like philosophy and ethics and socializing and all of the things that happen at a university system. As a state senator, I've been a supporter of the university. As the Senator Jacobson said, 2.5% is a good step in the right direction, but I think we have a lot more to do in terms of investing in our university system. When I look, I've got 2 years left as a senator. So it's been an absolutely incredible experience, best chapter of my life. And for any of you, especially those who are just graduating, want to talk about running for office, I'm happy to grab a coffee with you because it's been incredible. When I look at having 2 years left as a senator, really just 1.5 because the session's going to be over in a blink of an eye, and I look at what are the biggest challenges facing us as a state, for me it's the fact that by 2030, in our state, we will have more people 65 and older than 18 and younger. And in some areas of our state, that's already the case, the further west you go. And what happens then, and I'm sure those of you who have driven around the state, is you see communities where, you know, their main streets no longer exist. And so if you blow that out and look at us as a state, and look at what we're facing in terms of population trends, we need to be focused on what we're gonna do to attract and retain young people in our state. For a number of reasons. For the economic reason, I mean, think about it. More people entering into retirement in less than 10 years than entering into the workforce. And we already have huge workforce shortages. And so for me, everything I think about is how and what can I do for the next year and a half to make sure that all of the young faces that I'm seeing in this room want to stay in Nebraska and build their careers and build their families. And so what is it going to take to do that? And when I think about all of the things that help in terms of anchoring young people in our state and reducing brain drain, at the top of the list is a strong and healthy university system. And I know it because I'm an example of it. I am in Nebraska, born and raised, because I had two parents, one from England and one from the East Coast, who fell in love at the University of Nebraska and decided to stay here. And so that's my goal with the legislation that I am working on. And with that, I'd like to stop because I don't often get to spend a lot of time with young students, even though I represent quite a few in the district. So I'd love to see if you have any questions. And I'd love to hear from you. Don't be shy. Yes, way in the back.
I'll just be loud.
Yes.
As someone who is living so thoroughly at the issue of the fact that we have such bad brain drain and like the retention of people that are in younger sectors, both children and people who are of university age, in your opinion, as someone who is close to the issue and who understands it on a higher level, what do you see as some of the ways to fix the fact that this is a recurring and historical issue for our state?
I mean, where to start? So setting aside investing in the kind of post-secondary education experiences that attract people here. You know, the other thing is when I have a chance to travel around the state, and like for example, I love to go up to Norfolk, I love to go to Tacoma. There are certain places in this state where you can feel the energy of, oh my gosh, this place is growing. Every time I go there, there's a new bar or restaurant that's opening. I see a lot of young people around, involved in their chamber. What you tend to see is communities that are willing to invest in themselves, invest in recreation, music, art, the type of things where beyond just your career, you have an opportunity to socialize and to enjoy sort of the creative side. It's why, for example, I was able to advocate for about $1.2 million to be invested in Lincoln into a music district here in the heart of Lincoln, so on O Street. We will have spaces where artists can rent out music studio space. Local artists and then artists that are coming into town will be able to check out this space and create music, and there'll be a lot of infrastructure investment in that area to really lean into that creativity and that kind of recreational opportunity. That's just one example, but you also have to have the type of industries that young individuals want to go into. Industries that are going to be lasting, like clean technology, the kind of bioscience, tech industries where you see a lot of younger individuals going into, because they're not only great jobs, but they're solving major world challenges. And for me, at least, when I talk to young individuals, it's not just about making money, it's also about having a big impact in a positive way. And so we want to make sure we're recruiting the kind of companies that will then be a kind of place where a young person would want to work. I don't know if I'm out of time, but thank you all so much.
Well, to close us, I want to just take a couple minutes and thank our leadership team that's here. Dr. Jeffrey Gold, the Chancellor of UNMC, has already been mentioned. Dr. Joanne Lee, our Chancellor at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. Chancellor Doug Christensen, I know he's out there from University of Nebraska at Kearney. Although Chancellor Ronnie Green, I don't think is here, I want to acknowledge him in his 7 years as Chancellor and 16 years here at the university system as he's getting to retire. There's no question that the system is strong because of these dedicated, strong leaders at our campuses, and I couldn't be more proud of the job that they're doing. I'm also very proud of the work that's done by our board of regents. Regent Kathy Wilmot is here with us today. I don't know if we have any other regents here with us, but I will speak on behalf of all of them to tell you that they actually don't make $330,000 a year, which you can find on the internet somehow. They work in a thankless job. They have the responsibility for fiduciary and policy oversight of the university, 8 publicly elected, which is not the same in all states, I can tell you, and they do a great job, and it's a hard job. And so I have become much more appreciative of the hard work that they do in that position. We also have a number of folks here from our President's Advisory Council. These are the roughly 100 ambassadors that support the university representing our entire state. So there's too many here for me to name, but I just say thank you to all of you that do that important work for us. Now, my last comment here is for our students as I started to talk to, and I spoke a little bit about this intersection that higher education is going towards, and a lot of that, of course, has had to do with cost of attendance and some of the other challenges that we're starting to hear about on the national stage. Today is one of those really critically important days because higher ed is going to be challenged more at the national level, and Nebraska is not going to be immune from it. And I'm not talking about whether we can retain 50,000 students within our system. You know, we are the biggest impact in trying to fill those roughly 80,000 jobs that are vacant in the state of Nebraska. None of those numbers are going to necessarily get better, but there's a bigger conversation that you can have a big help with. Because there's a lot of young people, I'm talking about young people that are in 7th or 8th grade, 10th grade, approaching graduation in high school. They're asking the question, what am I going to do when I leave high school? And today we only see about 50% of Nebraska high school graduates choose any type of post-secondary education. And that's not going to be good for our state. It's not going to be good for that generation. So the conversation that needs to be had is, why pick post-secondary education? It doesn't even have to be the University of Nebraska. Of course, I prefer that. But why? And the reason is much more than the college experience. It's much more about what you get in the academic classroom. It's really about preparing you for life. And that's what we can offer. The value of a 4-year degree is going to become more important in the next 5 to 10 years than it's ever been. And people are not seeing that at our nation right now. For every one of you students that are here today, when you finish your degree, you're going to make $1.5 million more in your lifetime than your peers that didn't go to a 4-year undergraduate degree. The job market's going to have 65% of all the jobs nationwide, and Nebraska, again, will be similar, that are going to require a 4-year undergraduate degree in 2030. So the job market is going to eventually demand it, and there's going to be a lot of those that are left behind. But I could tell people all over the state what I'm telling you now. The best endorsement that can be given to young people is our students that are in the campuses that we enjoy today. You are the best recruiters that we have to tell Nebraskans, other students from all over the country, that going to a 4-year degree at any of our campuses is not only the best value, it's the best deal you can make in the investment in yourself and in your life. So don't be afraid to tell that story. Tell it to everybody that will listen. And please tell it to the 49 elected senators and anybody else here that's in the Capitol that's willing to listen to your story. Because you are the voice, you're the impact. So again, thank you. Thank you all for coming here today. It's now my pleasure to introduce our final 2 student regents to bring us home before we go out and engage with the senators.
Thank you again, Senators Jacobson and Wishart. We appreciate your time, and thank you to President Carter. Let's give one more round of applause.
Victoria Sims of the Bears. I'm a student body president and student regent for UNE. It's my turn, huh? I was scared y'all weren't gonna laugh. I was gonna make it even scarier. While our official program is coming to a close, we still have lots of fun planned for the afternoon. Immediately following this program, you are more than welcome to head up to the balcony of the George Norris Chamber. Don't ask me for directions, but there are plenty of people who can help you. And there we will all be officially welcomed and recognized by the Nebraska legislature.
It's also very fun for us to be able to watch the legislature and watch the legislative process in action. After that, we'll be able to talk to state senators directly about why we love the University of Nebraska. We have representatives from each of our campuses helping coordinate senator engagement. Those representatives, I believe, are in the back of the room. Could you guys raise your hands? So take note of those people. Just let one of those individuals know which senator you would like to speak to, and they'll put in the request. Your group will then be given a sign with that senator's name that you can hold up, and that senator will find you. If you see someone else holding up the name of the senator that you'd like to talk to, just go join in with that group. And now it's towards
If you would like to celebrate the campuses but aren't ready to talk to a senator right now, that's okay. There are plenty of other things for you to do. There's a limited edition I Love NU Very Much ice cream from the UNL Dairy Store in the courtyard downstairs, and you can take pictures in our photo area with their campus mascots.
And here in this room, we'll have postcards and thank you notes for all of the state senators that will be delivered to them later this afternoon. So feel free to sign them. And finally, if you haven't already signed up to be an advocate for the University of Nebraska, there are laptops here in the chamber that you can do so.
The University of Nebraska system has an accomplished history to celebrate, and there is no better time to be a part of the University of Nebraska. As students, alums, and supporters, we have a unique perspective and a voice that should be heard. Our individual stories are our most powerful resource, and events like this truly help for us to move forward together as one university. Thank you all so very much for being here to celebrate with us.